Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ngozi. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. You are most welcome. Click on that little notification bell so you never miss an upload. On the channel we talk about everything that relates to family, so that's a wide spectrum of topics. And one of the topics that I covered about 10 months ago, I uploaded in a video, was the topic of sexual assault. Now a lot of comments had come up on that video and lots of them were triggering, and one in particular came through yesterday while I was having brunch with my husband, and I saw it and I thought, the video I had planned for today I will reschedule for a different time. I wanted to address this comment, and that is something that I will be doing frequently on the channel. It's not about what I want to put out there, it's about what's affecting us as a people. And this one comment came through and really got me, and I want to talk about it because I've been inspired to address the issue of incest. The name is Aisa. I'm going to just say Asia. Asia says, I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me, but my dad and my cousins molested me as a kid. My dad did way worse and made me not remember, and he was incarcerated for 15 years, and he came home and he would look at me in a sexual way. After I realized that, I stopped talking to him and I cut him out of my life. My family waited till I got older and they literally brainwashed me my whole life. The people I'm around, mostly men I dated, brainwashed me also. So now I can't depend on anyone and do my own research on information. My family excluded me out of the family because they were molesting me and brainwashing me as a kid. And now I'm going through this phase in my life where they're forcing me to kill myself, or I'm going to get murdered. I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me, it says again. I definitely don't want to bring life into this world because of my personal experience. So there you have it. I want to quickly dive into the topic of suicide. While Asia isn't saying that she wants to commit suicide, but she's going through a phase in her life where they're forcing her to commit suicide and to kill herself because they're ashamed of this. They don't want it to be true. They want it to be a lie, and they'd rather kill her off and live in this, make-believe world that they have a perfect family. So there's narcissism going on here. Now, on the subject of suicide, when someone feels like they're having feelings of suicide, I'm going to tell you something, and I saw that. I learned this from another conversation that I was a part of, I watched. I have learned that it is not you that wants to die. I just want to kill myself. It's not you that wants to die. It's something that needs to die, not you. It's something that needs to die, not you. So if you're attached to something, and it's like a tango. You kill yourself off. Of course it comes to an end. Never mind what happens thereafter, which you don't want to encounter. You don't want to do that. But if you take yourself off, yeah, that stuff will stop. It's over. But let me tell you, you want to stand your ground and you want that thing to die so that you can thrive, so that you can live. In society, if, say for instance, we had a rapist at number 72 and half of our children have been raped in the community and we don't know who it is, and finally we find out who it is and it goes to court, what does the court do? Remove the person from society because they are a danger to society. They are a danger to society, and they do that so that the community can heal, find ways to put the pieces of their life back together and move on with their lives. That's the only way they can heal. That's the only way they can move forward, by removing this menace to society out of society. If someone has gangrene for walking through a field filled with snow for hours and it's starting to spread up the foot, you go to hospital. They do everything to try and heal the foot. And if it doesn't work, what happens? The doctor says, we need to cut the foot off. We need to cut the foot off so that you can live. We're not going to sit there and say, figure it out, you'll be okay, and the next thing you know, you're dead. So it is okay, Asia, to cut such an individual off. I wouldn't even go the next step to say that's your father. That's a sperm donor. That's not a father. That's a sperm donor. So especially for those in the community of faith, there is a confusion with forgiveness versus, holding someone accountable for their actions. Even in the faith, God ultimately, at the end, holds individuals who have failed to obey him accountable for their actions. So don't misunderstand it. It's a father of forgiveness, but still, individuals are held accountable for their actions. Now, while it's not your job to go ahead and enforce some kind of vengeance on them, you hand that over to God. You hand that over. Someone actually replied to your comment, and in the comment said, prayers going up for your mental health, physical safety, stay strong. They will pay for their actions, and they're absolutely right. They will pay for their actions. So here's what you want to do. Because the court system cannot and will not be able to find out every predator under our roofs in our beautiful communities, it is now become your job to enforce certain boundaries so that you can thrive, so that you can live, so that you don't die. So you have to remove yourself from the situation. It is okay, my family out there, it is okay to cut an individual off. If it is a husband who's battering a wife and she goes back to the A&E and she's had her eye socket broken, and next week it's her jaw, and next she's lost a baby, I assure you, it is okay that something has to die or you will die. So the thing about suicide is you have people holding on to a dying situation, something that's sucking the life out of them, and they're never going to make it until they separate themselves from that thing, that individual, that toxic job, that toxic friendship, whatever it is, so that you can break free, inhale, and live. It's important. You are important. You are necessary. You have a responsibility to people who love you to be here, to stay here. Now, the next thing I want to address is the subject of incest and how does it begin in families. So we're done taking care of our children and making sure that, we didn't have any nannies. We're done making sure that we sit outside the school and make sure that the coach isn't doing anything to our sons. And, we've done it all to make sure that they are safe. So how is this happening underneath our roof? A sister and a brother. And I'll tell you, roughhousing. So kids start playing and they keep playing around in the house and someone touches someone in an area by accident. It's innocent. Absolutely it is. Not being funny. It is. But you touch someone and it's a little shove around the chest area or the genital area. And guess what? It feels good. Ooh, what was that? And you're in a happy place and it carries on and you're sat there on your tablet scrolling through TikTok and scrolling through Instagram and trying to see who scored the next goal, and it's happening right in front of you and you can't see it. Wake up, parents. Look at your children. Find out what's going on. That laughter upstairs, that giggling and thumping around, stuff is happening. You've got to check in on them. You've got to check in on them. It's a lot of work, yes. They're in your house, but it started. The public, as it were, and society at large, and families and individual people are misunderstanding the nuance of this silent pandemic. It's so rampant. What is incest? Incest is sexual activity that takes place between, a father, a child, a sister, a brother, a mother, a son, and vice versa. A grandparent and a child. It's all there. You look up the definition of what incest is. So it's happening in the house. We're not talking now about an uncle or an auntie. Brother, sister, mother, father, grandmother, grandfather, and so on. So that's how it starts in the house. And so you've got to pay attention when you see your children, tumbling around in a big ball over there, and you say, hey, it's enough. Okay, enough. You've got to get involved. You've got to be highly vigilant and very ready to be, the worst kind of supervisor. And someone in a comment said, my children think I'm a creep, but I'm always all over them like white on rice. And I feel the same way. I'll be a creep all day so you don't meet a real creep outside. I'll be a creep all day. I will take that badge and I will wear it with pride so you don't meet a real creep. So anyway, now that's one aspect for children left to themselves. I had an experience where family member, fondled around and played around with me. And not just one, I've had a number of family members play around with me. One apologized, contacted me years later. I said, I'm really sorry. Did you know this happened? And I said, yes, I did. And I said, I'm sorry. And they said, I'm really sorry. And I took that and I was like, thank you. The other one, on the other hand, couldn't be bothered. They'd rather it went away. They would be in the class of the individuals who are tormenting Asia and saying, just go away with this. They would want it to be a lie. They want to live in denial. And they're not healthy to be around. So my experience was that I was having that going on in our setting, and, I would also see it happening at nighttime, incest. And that was one of the things that I also hemorrhaged in that particular drawing that I drew, as mentioned in that video I spoke of that I uploaded 10 months ago. That was part of what was going on as well, and it all came together in that photo. And instead, after leaving that clue, my mum beat me up, and I was bleeding all over. You should watch that video. And that was the end of it. I never spoke about any other experience that I ever had. And statistics have proven, and research has shown, that a very large percentage of individuals who are sexually molested don't say anything for reasons like what Asia is talking about. She's very isolated from this family, and maybe all she knows is to be around family. But I assure you, you can walk away. You can walk away. You can walk away. The Bible says that who is my mother? Who is my father? Who is my brother? Who is my sister? Who is that person? They are the ones who do the word of God and obey it. My father isn't someone who sleeps with me. My sister and my brothers aren't individuals who support my father sleeping with me. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So that's not your family. Okay? So run. Cut ties, run. And live the life that you've been called to live. So that's one aspect with children. Now I'm going to move on to parents sleeping with their children, and here goes. You have a wife that's married to a man who has a very high sex drive, and it's not for everyone. So it's not a blanket statement, but in that sect of men who have a very high sex drive, and then you have those who have a sexual addiction, and you don't realize that what you call a high sex drive is sexual addiction, where you've got to be inside of a woman 24 hours a day and say, well, that's just human nature. No, it's not human nature. You go see someone and they'll explain to you that that's sexual addiction. You have to have some level of self-control. But anyway, a woman is married to a man like this, and within 2 minutes of her being pregnant or being poorly, or maybe she's had a C-section, and he can't wait for 6 weeks. He wants to have sex with his wife, and he's gone off to number 7, and he's had sex with X, and he's had sex with his receptionist and the secretary, and so on. Can't keep it together, and it just keeps going, and you forgive him. Back to the subject of you forgive him. Now here's what that means. When you have a man like this, you have to pay attention when you have a daughter for a child. Just like my uncle, when he ran out of women to bring into the house, and he'd exploited them all, and he had no other money to go around, I was the next person he saw on the side and just said, listen, just come in. I've got to do this. I've got to do this. It's like a drug addict. If we're talking about sexual addiction, it's like a drug addict. So they will sell that diamond ring. They will mortgage the house. They will make everyone homeless for that high. Why do you think your daughter is safe from this individual? Think about it. So when you go on that date and you think he looks nice, he's handsome, oh, just look at him. He's so nice. He takes me on trips. He has a job. He has a job. There are more important things you also want to really pay attention to than the size of his privates and whether it's compatible with yours. Pay attention to who you are choosing to be the father of your children and the grandfather to grandchildren. Pay attention. I always say he has to be God-fearing, someone who fears the Lord, someone who, when no one's watching, would say, like Joseph, I can't commit this sin against the Lord. I am not doing that. Someone who is submitted to the highest authority. Listen, my young ladies, listen. So you have a man like this, you've got to think about your daughter. Because when he's run out, your daughter is next. She's walking around, her new chest is budded, her bum's protruding. She throws herself on her dad. And man, his body is coming alive, as sad and as disgusting as that may be. But that's exactly what happens. So you want to keep healthy boundaries between them. You want to keep healthy boundaries. You want to pay attention. And this is obviously for you who have decided that that promiscuous man is suitable to remain in your life. So now this is the steps you have to take, because that's what's going to happen. And a higher percentage, that's what's going to happen than not. Now we're talking about grandparents. How does that happen? You train yourself to accept a man who is promiscuous. He has had many women, but you've stayed in the marriage. And you've managed to protect your girls and your boys. And now your children have grown up. And she has that dad who is promiscuous. He's never touched her inappropriately because you've managed to do a good job, and you know, you were present and he never really went there, and maybe you were hands-on with the kids and he never had to be involved. But now she goes on to be married and she has children, or he goes on to get married and he has children with his wife, and every now and again the children are going to go over and stay with grandpa and grandma. Yes? And so when your grandchildren arrive, grandpa is sleeping with granddaughter. Grandpa is molesting grandson while you go off on your cruise. And the kids are with the grandparents, you say. What kind of grandparent do you have? Do you have a father that is promiscuous? Keep your daughters away. I was watching a program the other day, a factual program, documentary on a father who had children with his children until he was arrested, put behind bars. So he fathered children by his children and also slept with his grandchildren. And, you know, he said he was creating a royal bloodline. People are psychos. And don't look too far and say, gosh, what kind of person is that? No, 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 no. We're the same breed and people do the same things. Someone in the comments said to me, well, the girl who was chasing after your son when he was 2 in that video, and as I say, an iCard will pop up and you can watch the videos. The girl who was chasing your son most likely was also touched as well. So this is true. And as I always say, you don't know everybody. So when you date, open your eyes, open your ears, pay attention. The other aspect, again, I wanted to point out to wives is that if you have a husband who, they might not be sexually addicted, but if they say they don't want to take part in cleaning the baby, you know, they don't want to take part in cleaning the baby, they say to you, it's smelly, just accept it. Let them do absolutely everything else while you take care of your baby girl's private areas and keep her clean. I tell you this is important because a man that is sane will not say to you, well, I got aroused when I opened up my baby's private area to clean the child. He's not going to say that to you. So as soon as he says that to you, whether or not that might be the reason or not, it's an opportunity for you to take full control of cleaning her up at all times while he can be busy doing absolutely anything else. Do you understand? You got to pay attention. Pay attention. This stuff is happening. As I said, it's a silent pandemic and it's happening in our homes an awful lot, and it needs to stop. So parenting, on this last note, I would say, is a very important role. You have to pay attention once you become a mother. You want to pay attention when you become a father. If you're going to have children, it is the single most important job you will ever do. Who you raise in the house becomes the generation of tomorrow. That little boy that you carry in the house, that little girl that you're bathing in the bathroom, they're the presidents of tomorrow. The school teachers, the bus drivers, the judges, the presidents, they are them. You have to take care of them. It's the single most important job. You are raising the next generation. So when you think of it that way, you can prioritize looking after them and think about the generation you want your children to grow up into. If we all do a collective job of paying attention to raising our kids, maybe the future might be brighter, maybe. Well, thank you so very much for watching. And Asia, I want you to understand that you are loved. You are among a community of people who have experienced the same. You will live, you will not die, and you will go ahead to proclaim the word of God. And you will be the best possible parent that there ever is, because you will be able to guide a child to navigate their way through this dark world. That is if you choose to have a child. And coming away from people like that and relocating, I did do a video on change. You can change. You can change your life completely. You can relocate to another country if you have the funds to. You can completely create a new circle of friends, a new circle of people. God will himself bring into your world a mum, a dad, loving people that will retrain you on how to pick a partner so you don't have to find yourself in that circle again. I love you dearly, and I want you to know that you will not die, you will live. Thank you so very much for watching. Have a good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening, a good night, wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you again soon. Until then, take care. Bye.